Hi folks, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm really humbled how many people actually watch the videos and stuff. What exactly is the criteria for putting something into the canon or the Bible? Or what determines what is of God and what is not of God? Doug Del Tonto on Jesus Words Only, I recommend you go there and see it. But he had talked about that on several videos. He had about 3 videos, I think it was. And it took me a while to catch on, so I'm hoping I got it down. So maybe if you put it in comments, see anything to help me or give me some aid and stuff. But this also involves Paul, and I'm always dealing with other people. I'm just amazed at how far off we are in the church, yet the Father still showed mercy and helped change my life. See, so that's where I'm kind of still torn of, I had a life change, I'm having a life change, I'm heading in a direction, but how in the world did I even make it as far as I did at the time, you know? By what criteria do we accept a prophet's letters to be in canon, even if they claim to hear from Yahweh? Now, most of this I think is out of my Hebrew Bible, so it's going to read a little funny. This is Paul speaking here. 1 Corinthians 9:2. If to others I am not an apostle, but indeed to you I am, for the seal of my commission you are in the Lord. See, Paul is claiming that the Corinthians validate his apostleship, even if others do not. 2 Corinthians 12:16. But let it be, I did not burden you, but being clever in cunning, I took you. That's the Hebrew Bible. Cunning is deceitful, guile is what some of the other translations, or a baited fish hook, entrapment. Food that looks good but has a hook in it. To me, that's a really good example. So what did the Old Testament people do by determining a true prophet from a false prophet? Deuteronomy 17:8-12. This is the part that took me a while. I had to read this 10 times or so to try to grasp it in different translations. But if should be powerless for you to decide a matter in a judgment between blood and blood, between judgment and judgment, between blow and blow, yeah, between dispute, they turn to fighting each other, for matters of judgment in your city, then rising up you shall ascend unto the place whichever should choose the Lord your Elohim to be called upon his name there. There you go, some places that they call upon his name. Verse 9, and you shall come to the priests of the Levites and to the judge, whoever happens to be in those days. See, I never caught that before. This is what Doug brought out. In those days, and seeking the matter, they shall announce to you the judgment, and you shall do according to the thing whichever they should announce to you from out of the place of whichever they should choose the Lord your Elohim. And you shall guard exceedingly to do according to all as much as the law should be established to you. According to the law and according to the judgment, whichever they should tell you, thus you shall do. You shall not turn aside from the matter of whichever they should announce to you, to the right or to the left. Verse 12. And the man whoever should do it in pride, to not, if you do it in pride, not to obey the priest standing beside to officiate in the name of the Lord your God, or the judge, whoever should be in those days, then shall die that man, and you shall lift away the wicked one from out of Israel. So who did the Father appoint as judges in the time of Yeshua? Did you get what I just read? You'll have to read it yourself several times. Matthew 16:19. This is Yeshua speaking. And I will give to you the keys of the kingdom of heavens, and whatever you shall bound upon the earth, you shall bound in heavens. Whatever you shall untie upon the earth, it shall be untied in heavens. The word bound is used as a prisoner's hands is bound with leather straps. You will either bind it or you'll free him. Okay, here's an example that I found that I think it helps me to understand what they're saying about the people at the time who know. See, this is what's hard, because I'm going, okay, do I go to my pastor or my church? Who is now the people that I should go to find out the truth? See the question. See, how does this apply to today's thing? The example of this, which laws do the Gentiles start out with? And this is Acts 15, verse 6 and 7. And there were gathered together apostles and elders to know concerning this matter. So right there is the bunch of people that you go to when you have a question. Verse 7. And much debating having taken place, Peter, having risen up and said to them, Men, brothers, you know that from the days of old Yahweh among us chose by my mouth to hear for the nations the word of the good news and to believe. See, the thing that gets me is during this, what do you call it? Not convention. But anyway, this gathering of decisions, Paul was sitting there with this group, but he stayed quiet. He didn't say anything. He claims that he was called to the Gentiles. But let's go on down a little further. Acts 15:19. James speaks up. This is the brother of Yeshua. Therefore I judge to not cause trouble to the ones from the nations turning towards Yahweh, but write to them to be a distance from the pollutions of idols and harlotry and the things strangled and blood. What I noticed, the first thing I caught was the nations turning toward Yahweh. It doesn't say the nations turn to Christ. They turn to Yahweh. Christ always pointed to the Father. Again, Paul is sitting here to abstain from idols and eating of meat. The discussions of it. Acts 15:22. You can read the whole context later on for yourself. Then it seemed good to the apostles and the elders, with the entire assembly, chosen men from them to send forth unto Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, Judas, the one called Barsabas, and Silas, men leading among the brothers. See, this is where a lot of times people don't grasp that Paul was a chameleon. He's all things to all men. So when he's around the apostles, when he's around the elders, then he acts, walks, and talks like they do. And he had them convinced, because they're going to send him off. Paul's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He does not reveal his true beliefs. So let's go on a little bit further down the line. Acts 21:18. On the following day, Paul went in with us, that's Luke, to James. And all the elders were present. James questions Paul, and does Paul admit to the rumors? What were the rumors? Acts 21:21. And they instruct concerning you, Paul, that defection, the Hebrew word they have is defection or apostasy, you to teach from Moses among the nations all the Jews, saying not to circumcise their children, nor in the customs to walk. If you go on down to verse 22 through 24, James orders Paul to do works and pay others to help to prove the rumors are not true. Does Paul tell James he is against the law of Moses? No, he doesn't. He goes ahead and does blending in with the James and what he says. The 12 and James are doing what Deuteronomy 17 instructs them to do. See, they went before, or James was doing, but the 12, they're going before the elders and they're all discussing this stuff because they are the beginning of the church. Knowing the times and the people involved, they can discern what is true and what is false. We know Paul looks down on the 12, that's been documented in other videos, and that Paul is fine with eating meat offered to idols. And we know Paul teaches the law is dead and no longer needed. All Pauline people know that. They have to admit that. But here's some key evidence when you start looking at this. Paul, in Acts 9, we're backing up to Acts 9, 26 through 30. Paul, and when he had come to Jerusalem, he attempted to join the disciples. This is the first time. And they were all afraid of him, for they did not believe that he was a disciple. This is very important here. The disciples were afraid of him. 27, Barnabas brought him to the true apostles and declared his testimony and preaching. They sent him off to Tarsus. What people don't get, they always tell me, oh, they sent him off on a mission. He's from Tarsus. They sent him away. It does not say they sent him there for a mission. What happens is in Acts 11:22, the report of this came to the ears of hearing about the converts at Antioch, of the church in Jerusalem. The church in Jerusalem heard about all these good things, and they sent Barnabas to Antioch. See, you got to think about this. You got to look at timelines. Acts 11:25, so Barnabas went to Tarsus to look for Saul. That is not what he was sent down there to do. Where was Saul in all this? See? So the first time they sent him back, he went home. And he also says that in Galatians, I think, too. I thought I had another thing that shared about, he was in 14 years in Arabia and stuff. See, there's a lot of time passed before he actually went back to the apostles when Barnabas brought him. I often wonder if the whole history would have changed if Barnabas had not gone and looked for Paul. So what I'm having troubles with is the idea of Deuteronomy 17, 8 through 12. There's very few people that I can actually go to in this age or era in which we live that is studying and looking at the Ebionites or the Nazarites or the old original church and trying to find out what it's like. Who do we go to of our day? I can't go to any church in my town. I cannot go to any place. The one university got closed down. Where do you go to find people who are seeking the truth? I believe that Yahweh's raising up a remnant. He's raising up people. He's teaching people. He's showing people who are searching, and they're showing people like me, and I'm trying to share with other people to go back to what the original church was. See, and it's taking time. But I just wanted to share this with you. I still love doing studies, and it's been, 4 years now? And I still haven't run out of things to study and search. It's amazing. Father, thank you so much because you're just an incredible, awesome Father. And I ask that you'll do whatever you can to help deal with Israel, Lord. I'm just going to share this at this last moment, Father, because you know I was watching a video about that festival that the Israelites were doing. And I seen in the video a statue of Buddha raised up high in their festival center. And wow, that just really shocked me. And I know how you feel about idolatry and idol making. And but Father, please, I pray that you'll continue to help Israel, help us to know and to follow you properly, and help us to live and remember the first commandment as the top priority in our lives. In Yeshua's precious name, amen.